Okay, that is the signal right there. That actually is a custom tone that was written and produced by our brother-in-law in Colorado Springs,
Yep.
Drew Majors. Thank you for that tone. That actually was so applicable to the Scottsbluff County scanner at the time, that, and now Panhandle scanner, that I use it as my ringtone. Also, we use it sometimes as an intro to get your attention. And tonight it is really important. It is really, really important. If you're online with us, we really appreciate it. I just put a note there on the top of our Facebook post that we're live on right now. We're live on Facebook, live on Twitch, live on Twitter, live on Rumble, live on our website at diggingdeepertv.com. We're live just about everywhere, and we hope to remain that way, and we hope you do too, at least through God's will. So tonight, let's talk about chance. I just posted a message there. It's time to talk about chance. So, like I said in the intro, enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's just, I know that for those of you who are in Scanner Chat, who are in that group, I kind of got upset this morning, because these threads from Reddit keep floating around, and there's nothing wrong with the fact that people are presenting them. It's okay, but internally it makes us upset at all the different things that are wrong in there, and the fact that all this talk, no matter what happens, Andy, no matter how many people are right or wrong, or how many new tips are presented, or how many old tips are gone over, it doesn't matter if it's a new tip, an old tip. What really happens in the end here? Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Nothing's happening. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not happening. It doesn't seem like there's anything released. There's no information being released. Andy, you did some research on it. And tonight, let's just talk about what the theme is here. It's not about this information. It's not about how we're going to handle this investigation, or who's right or who's wrong or who's to blame.
Right.
This is all about chance. And tonight, we are looking for justice for chance. We want justice for chance. And legally, the only way left now at this point is a grand jury investigation.
We need to motivate somebody to do something, because nothing's happening, right?
To the citizens here in Scottsbluff County, it does not seem like anything is happening, because I don't believe, and I can pretty much guarantee, if not, please dispute me here. Please go ahead and throw the information into Scanner Chat there, please. If there's any information that's been released by the police, anything that's been released by law enforcement since when? You did some research.
Yes, I found the last report on regular news, mainstream media, whatever you want to call it, that I found was when they discovered the bones about a year ago.
Okay.
Of William.
The older gentleman. That was
right.
Down the river.
That they thought might have been chance. And that was the last time anybody talked about him in the mainstream media.
Quite a while ago. And then before that?
I found an article here and there about every year. There was one article, but really no new information.
Yeah, and a lot of the old information, the stuff that's supposed to be official, this is what irritated me this morning. First of all, let me come right out and say, I think you saw me if people need to go into the Scanner Chat. We're talking about a missing person in Scottsbluff, Gearing, Nebraska. It's Scanner News. It's all about Scottsbluff County and the Panhandle, so we're here talking about it. So it's our missing person case for the night, in case you missed why we were talking about this. It will be 5 years since Chance Engelbert went missing, July 6th, 2019, and it's time to get some answers here, and we're not getting them from law enforcement or from the public. We are not mainstream media here. We are what you might call the rogue or underground media. We're the private investigator types that are going to put the truth out from the people directly from the source, rather than through a press release that's been pampered. And that's how we feel about some of the other media companies that will only release something if it's been approved by local police departments or fire departments. And so it's time to talk about Chance, but not in the way that you think. We could spend hours and hours and weeks talking about all the different clues, all the different anomalies, all the different mistakes, all the different leads, all the different possibilities. I think you all agree with me on that.
Yeah.
We could just spend forever talking about it.
Yeah.
And that's where I came busting out of the other room saying, enough is enough. I find my head spinning with all these thoughts of what could have been and where he might be and who could have done it and all this kind of stuff. I think of all these things. And then my brain just says, stop. Enough is enough. And that's what I feel like. So what can we do? Like I said, the only way to go above the law legally is a grand jury investigation. The only way to go above the law is a grand jury investigation. The only way to do it legally. So we're going to do that. We are going to call for that right now. We are calling for a grand jury investigation into the disappearance of Chance Engelbert. So here's the good news. In our scanner chat, we already have at least a dozen people that have said that they would help in one way or the other. Either share all of our posts, or they would actually go around face to face and ask for people's signatures that are registered voters in Scottsbluff County. Now, before we get to the specifics of how a grand jury investigation is begun, how it works, how it's conducted, and all those different rules, we're going to actually take a look at and make clear to you our stance on what's going on all this information that's flying around. So, remember this. The number one purpose of tonight's segment on this podcast is to clarify that, one, we are calling for a grand jury investigation. But secondary to that, we want to clear up all these Reddit threads and things that are going around. Okay? So for a lot of you who have seen those Reddit threads, obviously, I don't know, do we have that? Do you have that pulled up, or can you find that somewhere?
I can try.
Yeah, she could probably find it for us. But the whole thing is fabricated. Let me repeat. The investigator who spoke directly to this anonymous source, because he will not release information, and that's a good investigator, this private investigator by the name, as you see it online there, as Ryan Daniel, who I've been in contact with as much as early as yesterday, and I was asking him to call tonight. We'll see if he calls into the program. But Ryan Daniel is the investigator that I believe is doing the best job. I think he's doing a really good job of putting the pieces together and getting different facts rounded up from people and verifying sources. And let's start with that post. He has verified that is absolutely fabricated and not confirmed in any way. The post that talked about who killed him and the manhole and all that stuff, okay? We have not posted that on the Panhandle Scanner. I have not done an official story based on the Reddit threads yet. I decided we would go ahead and just talk about it tonight on the radio and on our podcast, because I just don't feel comfortable putting those kind of rumors into print. Ryan has debunked them. He's assured me that the guy who told him the original story, when he went back to him, he told a different story. So that source has no credibility whatsoever. So if everybody could just go ahead and put those Reddit threads to rest and throw it in the hopper for information that is a bunch of rumors. Now, there. All right, saying that, after saying that, I want to say this. Every clue matters.
True.
Could this guy have known something? Could he be involved? Could he be trying to distract us? Could he really just be in it for the reward money? I should have said reward, sorry. Mm-hmm. Because that's what Ryan told me. Ryan said this guy was clearly just after the money, and he was actually kind of going so far as to almost threaten the family. So Ryan actually protected the family on that day of the birthday party for Chance and his missing date for his birthday party. He was there to make sure that nothing else happened. This anonymous source never showed up. The anonymous source is a nothing burger, so go ahead and continue to pass it around if you want to. And I do apologize to those that I got irritated with in the scanner group today for claiming that things that we do won't make an impact. Well, that's obviously wrong. We obviously have a big impact in verifying information and getting the truth out, regardless of who threatens us, how big they are, or what their name is. We don't back down. So we just tell you the truth. If you want to hate us for that, that's fine. You may not be part of the group anymore, but so be it. That's your choice. But for those who are here to cooperate with this investigation, then help raise this grand jury investigation. If that's what you want to do. If you want to help, then help with that. So before we get into, like I said, I'm fired up about this tonight, obviously. I have so many different sides, so many different personalities. Everybody knows. Well, let me just say, for those of those, twice?
Yeah.
For those of you who know me, know I probably do have about 16 personalities. And that's just so many hats that I wear, Funny side note, had to fix the engine on the van, on the wife's van.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I became a shade tree mechanic for an afternoon. For one afternoon, I was a shade tree mechanic. I actually was parked under a shade tree. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, you can't call me a mechanic though.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we want to make sure that people know what our stand is on this information. The information has been debunked, but as always, I was getting ready to say that you need to pick apart everything that's said, and it's okay. Pick it apart and see if there are any other clues in there on some things that might have happened. Okay?
Right.
Like the name of the title, or the way that they write, or possibly the motive, or as somebody who's studied psychology and sociology and just treated people in the medical field for years, and also first responder in a dispatcher way, we have watched the activity of people forever, and we can see there's a reason for everything. It's a signature when somebody writes something. So we look for those things.
So this is the Reddit thread that is the conspiracy now. But there are people on this thread that actually point out the discrepancies. Like Jim Lawson was not the sheriff at the time.
Yeah, obviously, not for 10 years.
Right. So.
And you know what? I hate to correct Berberine here, but he was sheriff since 2009. That's when the election was. Because I was on his election committee and I built his website for him. So Mark was elected in 2009. He sat in my office in 2009. And I don't know why a person would be elected in 1 year and not serve until 2011. But the website officially in Scottsbluff County says it's 2011. I think somebody needs to correct that. But anyway. Mark Overman has been sheriff for at least 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And Mark was sheriff when Chance disappeared. Now, another thing was the searches, and were those all just ran by local PD, or did sheriff step in, or did FBI step in, or
no? FBI's never been involved.
Or
no.
did NSP step in at all?
No, the sheriff's department was not in charge of it either, and I do not believe
so it's just
the NSP
local.
was. The Scottsbluff Police Department, I believe, because Kevin Spencer was the one who was in charge of one of the searches. Now, it could have been the sheriff's office, and of course they're going to call it a joint effort, and they tried to get everybody involved. Mm-hmm. But let's look at history before we start quoting anything, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But no, the FBI was one of the things that somebody has asked for. I believe there's a change.org petition on asking the FBI to get involved. I know that there is a Search Terry Lake for Dead Bodies petition that really needs to have a lot more signatures. But here's what's important about this petition, if you'll just stay right there.
Okay.
This petition doesn't really matter because it's more of unverifiable signatures. The county's not going to recognize it. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to recognize this stuff in a court of law. In my opinion, I don't think that's ever happened.
Right. The change.org doesn't change anything. It's just where people can voice their opinion.
Sways social opinion, and
right.
If those people are voted out or an idea is voted down, that's how it happens. But I'm calling, or here we might say the Scottsbluff County Scanner is calling, now called Panhandle Scanner, is calling for a search of Terry Lake for dead bodies. And we're not saying necessarily that Chance is in there, although it's a possibility. But what we are saying is that over the years, since I've lived in Scottsbluff since I was born there in 66, lived there until probably 90, went to the military, came back right after that, 93, 94. I was just only gone a few years. Came back. I've lived in Scottsbluff County for 42 years. Now, we don't currently live in Scottsbluff County, but we have a lot of ties to Scottsbluff County, and I don't believe anything was done with the sheriff's office. But when we asked folks whether or not there were any dead bodies in Terry Lake, and I wanted you to stay on that post. Okay. Where's that post? Will you please go to that post? I said stay there, please.
I thought you were done talking about that one. Sorry.
I witnessed a body being thrown into a trunk and taken away when I was just a little tiny kid.
Mm-hmm. I remember you telling me that story.
I told my mom, asked my mom what's going on, and I remember listening and this is before I was adopted. This was 1974 probably. I was 8, I think. And I said, "What happened, Mama?" And Mama, because my mama is kind of Southern. She was I'll tell you a story about her later. But anyway, we lived on 9th Street. Okay, if anybody remembers Bruce's Tavern, we lived across the street. Lived next door to Bruce and Brucey. And, of course, that was across the street. So I lived next door to the house. So anyway, so we're down there in 74. And I remember hearing on the TV the next day that a body was found in Terry Lake. And so
it's always been suspicious.
I asked law enforcement about it recently, and they said, "No, there's never been a body found in Terry Lake. Never." And I said, "Oh, okay." So now if you ask law enforcement, they're going to say that, "Oh, they searched that. Oh, there's nothing found. Oh, they did sonar and this and that." But look in the official report, and there's something in there about the Gearing Canal being searched, but I don't remember them. You know, if they did search Terry Lake, I want to hear again from people that were on that dive team.
We did hear from a diver, didn't we?
I'm thinking that was Terry Lake. You heard me talking about that in Scanner Chat, and I can't reveal who that person was because I really trust them. They were on the dive team, and they were alerted that there was something underneath. They had found something, and then instantly they called off the search. So that's the red flag that we're talking about in the Scanner Chat tonight. I know Kenzie Kay was in there, and she and I were talking about that. That's a huge red flag. When you have the police telling you that you can't search somewhere, when they tell the special divers, who are those guys, the divers who find cars that are in, or people that are dead bodies that are in cars from scenes, you know. But anyway, these guys that are a national dive team were willing to come out here. Mm-hmm. And the police told them no. And that's,
Yeah, we don't need you.
no, they're told them you can't search it.
Yeah.
If anybody has any information contrary to that, then please let us know.
I do remember that they did search the river.
What, the canal or the river?
The river.
The river. Oh, yeah, they did.
From the bridge to
You're right.
the Y, right?
Right. What is that, a mile?
Yeah.
Half a mile to a mile?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of people believe also that his body could be either before the bridge or even farther down from the YMCA. So they just didn't search a wide enough area. That's another thing.
Right.
So there should have been a little more thorough search there. I know there was a discrepancy on the usage of a drone, how much it could be used, and it was a personal asset, so it wasn't official. And so he didn't really want them using it that much, so that's why they just searched that one area. I mean, he might have said, oh, they used it as much as they could, but they really didn't.
Does PD have their own now?
Yeah, they do.
I think they do.
Yeah, they do now. And
Yeah.
it's, well, at least NSP does for sure. I know they have a special drone unit at the Nebraska State Patrol. Mm-hmm. But as far as a drone back then, they didn't have that. And
It seems like it was so long ago, doesn't it?
well, it
when
was.
you say that.
I know. The search was 5 years ago, right?
Right.
Wow.
So the new information coming from this Reddit thread isn't really new, and it's bogus.
Oh, part of it. But there is part of it that's good. So let's go ahead and there's another part of the Reddit thread. I want to go to the address, of the, let's see, the address of, no, not that. Yeah, we can go that one. Okay. We'll go to this address here. So we're going to look at this map here because everybody's talking about this new information. So let's just pull this up real quick here. We'll just do this for you. Do I want to do that? Nope, don't want to do that. Let's do that. Okay, let's pull this over here. And where am I now? I'm in Terrytown. Here's Five Rocks Road. Okay, here's where I want to be, right about here. Okay. So if you've seen the Reddit thread saying that there were two girls that were running across the field and then running down the highway to try to get in, catch somebody or stop somebody to tell them they were screaming, tell them something, and then get into the vehicle. And evidently it was a pickup with a trailer. And so Ryan Daniel has this information on his Reddit thread, but this is the area here. So everything is happening right here in this area where a lot of people are suspecting that he was. We know that he was last right here.
Right.
Terry Boulevard and Stable Club Road, right?
Right.
One of our
Seen
questions.
walking.
Yeah. Seen walking, to the northeast, you might say. Northwest, you might say.
Northwest. Mm-hmm.
But why don't they continue to show him walking until he's out of view? Or why don't they show him before he gets there? And, some people say there is video from WTT. Of course, there's the gas station down here.
Yeah, clear up there.
Yeah.
That's quite a ways.
It is quite a ways, but if you have a camera, especially from Michael Soundsleeper at Alarm Security Technicians, because Alarm Security Technicians has the best cameras around. If he had a camera from him, which I think they did, then he could easily see a mile.
Okay.
And so from here, looking towards the river, there's somebody that has said, why don't the police... People are asking, the public is asking, why don't the police release this video that shows...
The WTT video.
Yeah, that shows nothing else happening. They say, well, there's nothing on there to see. I believe that's their excuse. Usually is. If there was anything for you to see, we'd give it to you. Okay, so did they see what Ryan pulled up? What he discovered? This pickup that was stopped with a trailer and two girls getting in, screaming, Could they have seen that pickup stopped on the side of the road in that video, which would corroborate the story?
That was before the railroad bridge on the Gehring side?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
So-
I believe they... Well, I don't know exactly. We need to talk to Ryan, and I was hoping he would call in. But it was right along this strip right here. Mm-hmm. Of course, Bellevue Edition is up in here. Mm-hmm. And Country Club Road is here. And this is really nothing in this area.
Right.
And it would be really odd for anybody to be there. One thing we want to note is that, let's go back over to Country Club Road. Mm-hmm. And let's come up this area right here on Toluca Lane.
Right.
And come all the way up to here. And we can tell you there's a gate here. They do not let you cross here.
Right.
This used to be a road they used to go through.
Well, this one was the one I was talking about, but...
This one's closed?
Yeah.
You were talking about something else?
That's the road I was talking about.
Oh, it's also... Is that being closed?
That's the one they closed off, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But over here, there's a gate around the fence, the railroad tracks.
Oh, right. A gate
so
all the way along it.
You can't cross there. Now, I don't know about right before the bridge.
But somebody could always hop that
Fence.
picket fence, or not picket fence, but a chain link fence.
Chain link fence, yeah.
I don't think it has barbed wire on the top.
But from what we understand, they were running around behind Toluca Lane and towards the Five Rocks Road.
Yeah, right around this area. Which is, do we want to see does he have that pulled up?
I just have the Paradise Haven one pulled up right now.
Okay, yeah. Well, the important part of this, again, is back to point number 1. That we raise a grand jury investigation for the sake of Chance and his families. For the sake of Banks, Chance's son. Mm-hmm. For Chance's mother, for Dawn, for his brothers, everyone in the family. In both Bailey. Families. And Bailey.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, after all,
closure. They need closure. All of them need closure.
I want to repeat to you that we do not believe in any way that the families on either side were involved in the disappearance of Chance Engelbert. We do not believe the families are guilty of anything in the disappearance. We do not believe that. Just make sure that you have that point straight. When you repeat to people that you heard about this podcast and the fact that there's going to be a grand jury investigation into closure for the families. This isn't about who's right. This isn't about who's wrong. This isn't about who's got the best story. This isn't about the talk of the next tip or things that the police have or have not done. This has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with Chance. And it has to do with finding the truth. Because enough is enough.